Live jump with Anita Bradley.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Talk with Anita Bradley. Of course, I'm your gracious host, Anita Bradley. I hope you all have had a wonderful evening. And our guest is here tonight. Come on in, Mr. Canty. Let me make sure I got everything turned down over here because I hear a little bit of an echo. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Do you hear an echo on your end?
I'm no.
Okay. I think I hear a little bit of
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. All
Okay.
right. Still trying to get Instagram on with us. Having some technical difficulties tonight with Instagram, but I'm going to get them in as soon as I can. And in the meantime, I want to welcome everybody. Hope you had a wonderful day. And if not, perhaps tomorrow will be a better day for you. I want to say good evening to Facebook, good evening to YouTube, and good evening to Periscope Twitter. And we'll get Instagram on as soon as we can. They're always so faithful. I certainly don't want to leave them out. All right. Okay. So our guest is here. I'm going to let Mr. Eric introduce himself, tell you a little bit about himself, and then we'll get right into our interview because we got a lot to talk about with Mr. Eric. And while he's introducing himself, I'm going to try to get Instagram in with us, okay?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Bernard Canty. I'm here in Sumter, South Carolina. I'm the 13th child of 14 kids from my late parents, Reverend Eugene Canty Sr. and Annie R. Canty. Born and raised in Tacoma, Washington. I now reside here in South Carolina. I'm a retired Marine, and just glad to be here. Glad to be here on the show.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We've been trying to get Mr. Eric on for a while, but he became famous so fast, like he was an overnight sensation, honey. So we had to wait our turn. So, but we finally got him here, and we're going to get right into his story because it is a very interesting story, to say the least. And I want you guys to hear his story. Some of you may remember him from Applebee's. Um, um, he is the gentleman that went viral overnight, I would say. Right, Eric?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
it happened quick.
It really did. It really did. I watched it in real time, and it did. You're right. It happened really, really fast. And before we knew it, it was everywhere, literally everywhere. So much so, Applebee's became Slappabees. So, so,
right.
So let's talk about. Let's talk about that particular day. So you already talked about where you were born. You're the knee baby like I am in my family. Thank you for your service also.
Thank you.
And so you also own a barber shop?
I did for 20 years. I actually sold it. Sold it a few years back, but yes, I'm a retired barber as well.
Okay. Okay. And you're a member of a motorcycle club?
I am.
Okay. And you still a good old church boy?
Absolutely. Jack of all trades.
Yeah. So take us back to that day at Applebee's. How did your morning start off? How was your day that day?
Well, my days are pretty routine. I take my girls to school every morning, and I pick them up every afternoon. In the downtime when they're at school, I kind of just plan my day out around their school hours. This particular day, I had dropped my youngest girl off at home.
Okay.
My oldest daughter was at track practice. So I actually just said, well, I got a couple of hours to kill. I'm gonna go to Applebee's, have some wings and a drink or whatever. So I'm sitting there, and young lady comes in, and she's celebrating her daughter's 21st birthday. Okay. So I guess they're having drinks together for her 21st birthday. And there's a gentleman across the bar. And he begins to make comments. At first, it was cordial, Right. He was making comments. He actually bought them a drink. And I don't know what that triggered. But after the drink was purchased, then the conversation went from cordial to harassment.
Now, was he already there before you got there? Or did you notice?
He was in the bar when I got there. When I arrived, he was.
Okay.
And he was I actually sat across the bar. If you ever been in Applebee's in Sumter, the bar kind of shapes like a horseshoe.
Okay.
So he was like kind of directly across from me.
Okay.
And these young ladies were sitting down to my left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they at the bar also?
They were at the bar as well. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this was a Black woman and her younger daughter.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Just turned 21.
Okay.
So I guess she was having her first drinks with mom, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
so like I said, the conversation went from being cordial to harassment. Say again?
Okay, so the gentleman starts to buy them drinks.
Correct.
So are they the only people he's buying drinks for?
Well, he didn't buy drinks for the entire bar. He just bought drinks for them. You know, I guess it was his way of saying happy birthday when he figured out it was the, you know, but like I said, the conversation went from being cordial to harassment.
Okay.
And from harassment to racial, you know, he started calling himself the white mandingo.
Really?
And whatever that means, you know.
Right.
And what he could do for them sexually. I thought the conversation was inappropriate because the little girl just turned 21.
Right.
You know, young little girl, and you know, it was an uncomfortable feeling. The mother eventually asked me to ask him to stop. You know, there were unwanted advances. You know, and then when I asked him to stop, then the attack came to me.
So had they asked him to stop before you got involved?
Say again?
So had they asked him to stop before you got involved?
Oh yeah. They actually asked him to stop.
Okay.
She asked him. The mother asked him to stop. She didn't stop, and then she asked me, and I was cordial, you know, when I asked him to stop. But I don't know if he had too much to drink, had he been there too long, or whatever. But you know, he made the comment to me that you know, you know, first I was an asshole, you know. An asshole. I said, well, why am I an asshole? Because I'm asking you to leave these young ladies alone, you know. And then it went from being an asshole to racial slurs, to now I'm a nigga, you know. And I asked him several times. I said, look, man, don't use that word with me. You know, I don't call people of other ethnicities outside of their name, and I don't appreciate you calling me that. But it didn't stop. It continued. And he offered me several times to step outside. So I got fed up. He offered several times to step outside.
He looked kind of older on the video. Was he an old man? And then that's the story he put out, that he was an elderly man.
And you know, elders in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, it's I think when you're over 58 or over 62, it's in that range. But he was in his 50s, as am I. I'm in my 50s.
You need to stop drinking because he looked old.
Yeah, he wasn't much older than I am at all.
Right.
So
well,
you know,
you need to find a new hobby because
yeah, the drinking obviously wasn't working out for him, you know.
Exactly.
So he offered me several times to go outside. And after, you know, that invitation, I said, let's go outside then. When I made the comment to let's go outside, if you look at the video, he then said, well, you know, there's a difference between black folks and niggas. He said, and you're a nigger. You know,
we have that video clip.
There was no more outside after that.
Right. We're gonna settle this now.
Right. And it kind of went down at that point, you know.
It really did, and so did he.
Yeah. And my intentions was not to hurt him. My
Right.
intentions was to get him to stop,
Right.
kind of a wake up call. Look, man, this, you don't do that,
Right.
and we
So you
don't
wouldn't.
tolerate that here. And it was 2022 at the time,
Right.
we don't tolerate that. Now, I was actually kind of shocked because here in 2022, you still got people using that type of language and that terminology towards other people of different
Right.
ethnicities.
Right. So
Yeah.
when the woman first asked you to intervene, in your
Hmm.
mind, did you see it going as far as it did?
Not at all. I thought he would have just been a gentleman and just stopped and direct his conversation elsewhere. But
Okay.
it seemed to antagonize him, like, how dare you,
Right.
ask me to stop. It was that type of attitude that he had. And I mean, and you could see the racial pride in him, even
Yeah.
when he used the language that he did. I mean, he stood tall
Oh yeah.
and
Oh
he
yeah.
poked his chest out like he was proud of what he said. And
Oh
he
yeah.
meant that. He meant
Oh,
it.
he meant it with his
He
chest. He
meant
meant
it. And I felt it. I felt that he meant it,
it. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna play it for our audience in a little while.
Hmm.
But once he turned to you and you felt this indignation kind of peering from him, still at that point, did you see it going the way it went?
Um, Once he used that word in the manner in which he did, which
Mm-hmm.
he said it with malice and malice
Mm-hmm.
intent. It
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe the feeling. The only way I can describe it is it felt like someone blindsided me with a bucket of
Mm,
scalding hot water.
mm, okay.
I don't know if you ever got burned by some hot water before, but it felt like
Mm-hmm.
somebody threw a bucket of scalding hot water on me. And I
Mm,
felt like I got stung by 1,000 bees.
mm,
And and at that point, I kind of just lost it a little bit.
mm-hmm.
But
Mm.
at the same time, in my conscious mind, I wasn't trying to hurt the gentleman. I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
teach him a lesson.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So at any point, did you think that you were able to de-escalate the situation before it got to where it was? Or were
Well,
you
I
not
tried to
approaching?
de-escalate it when I asked him to step outside.
Okay.
And I think the
Mm-hmm.
conversation may have gotten a little more intense outside, but I
Right,
don't think it would have got physical.
right.
But I think he wanted a confrontation.
It looked like he
And,
did
and I don't think he expected the reaction
at
that he
all.
got either.
At all. And
You know,
I could see the shock in him, but then after the shock wore off, his indignation kicked in. Like, I know this, then just slap me, and he
right?
just kept going,
Yeah,
and kept going. And I'm sitting here
he
looking at it like, just be quiet.
right. He would not stop, and
So he wouldn't.
several
He wouldn't.
several individuals in the restaurant asked him to stop.
Hmm.
You know, and he just would not. I don't know what he was on that day, but
Hmm.
he would not stop.
So is this Applebee's that you're a regular patron of?
Yes, I had been going there for years. There's
And had you
something
ever
is a
seen this?
have I ever what now?
Have you ever seen this particular guy there?
No, this was my first time seeing him there, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but apparently he had a history of bar hopping and being disrespectful in bars. So, go to one
Oh,
until he
really?
wears out his welcome and then he goes to the next.
And so just so
Something is a
happened on that particular day, he found his way to one of your spots.
correct, correct.
Mm, okay.
So,
So tell us a little
you
bit more
gotta
about Spencer.
Right. Sumter's like a military town. It's a retirement community, pretty much. It's not a big, giant metropolitan area. It's fairly. It's there's a few 100,000 people here, probably, but it's not Atlanta.
Right.
It's not Augusta. We're 30-minute drive from a metropolitan area in Columbia, South Carolina. Right outside of Columbia.
Right.
So it's fairly like a retirement community, but it's also an old time Confederate community as well. So you got a lot of that here, but it's not a blind racism. The majority of the people here that are racist, they don't mind showing you that they're racist. They're kind of proud of that heritage, if you get my meaning.
Okay, so that's what you mean by it's not a blind
coming.
Okay, I get it. And they want you to know that that's how they are.
Right, the ones that are. Yeah. But then you have you got good white folk here too as well. That are not racist, and the majority of them are probably pretty much from other places, retired from moving from up north or from other places or whatever. But it is a red state. But that's something.
So when you heard the guy talking to the two women, did you instinctively know that you were going to get involved?
I didn't, but at the same time, I was thinking, well, what if my wife and daughter was here, and what if that was them? But the fact that he was attacking two Black women, I don't think he would have did that towards his own kind. Or maybe he would have. Maybe he was just an asshole. But the fact that he attacked two Black women in front of me, it was just like, and then expect a Black man not to defend a Black woman's honor was just, that would have been unbecoming of me not to defend her honor, if you get my meaning.
Right. And that's what I was thinking next. Like, was he not expecting for you to intervene? And once you did intervene, what did he expect to go from that point? It was like he saw you. He had to see you sitting there, right?
Oh, he seen me sitting there, and I don't think he expected me to intervene. And when I did, he was actually offended.
Exactly.
Like I said, the attitude he exhumed was like, how dare you?
Right. Right.
And that's when the attacks became just relevant for everyone in the bar, and his own people was asking him to stop, and he continued. But I think this guy is just used to being belligerent in these different bars. I think he was a power drinker, and he just got out of control on that day. And and you know what they say about, alcohol will show you who a person is.
Yep.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that it went as far as it did. And I'm sure that the young lady who was there celebrating her birthday, she will probably never forget her 21st birthday was ruined by this guy. And the horrible things, you said his remarks turned kind of sexual and lewd towards them. And to the point it became really uncomfortable for them. I couldn't imagine why he thought you were not going to get involved.
Right. Again, had it been my daughter and my wife sitting there, I can only imagine what my reaction would have been, after repeatedly asking him to stop. you know, and then repeatedly being called the N-word, you know. This is 2022. It's not 1822.
Right.
You know, but the racism, I don't know, it just seems like in the last I want to say within the last 10 years in this country, it seems like it is coming back out of the woodworks.
Yep.
And I think we've had certain politicians in office that kind of enable these people to come back out of their shell and stand firm on their beliefs that it's okay to be that way.
It's their country.
Right. And it's not okay. You know what I'm saying? And to disrespect a Black woman like that. I mean, I always call them the queen mothers of the earth. I mean, the Black woman gave birth to every ethnicity and every race on the face of the planet. So to stand by and watch a human being like that be disrespected in the manner in which he was is just, it's not gonna happen, not on my watch. And on any black man's watch, you know, or any man should stand up, you know, when they see a woman getting attacked in that manner, you know.
So the staff there at Applebee's, what were they doing right before all of this happened? Did you notice?
Well, you know, I was kind of shocked that they allowed the comments to go unchecked for as long as they did. Management never stepped up and said anything to him. The workers never really asked him to leave. You know, I was shocked at that. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't get a hold of that sooner. Or because it could have been avoided. You know,
it seemed like
they should have cut him off. You know, at that point and say, look, you know, you didn't have a little bit too much. It's time for you to go. You know, but it never happened. You know,
because I'm sure they saw him harassing the two women, right?
I'm positive.
They had to not only see it, but they had to also hear what he was saying, because I'm sure he wasn't with them.
They heard the comments,
and they didn't put a stop to it.
And they did not step in and stop it, which I thought was inappropriate. I thought it was a lack of leadership on the management part for not stepping up and putting this gentleman out, but it never happened. You know, which is unfortunate because the whole incident could have been avoided.
That's what I was thinking. Even when I was watching the video clip, it seemed like they didn't really want to step in until things turned.
Right.
Until he got what he was asking for.
Yeah, it was just too little too late. You know, it was too little too late at that point. You know, it had exploded, and whatever happened was going to happen at that point. There was, you know,
there was no
out of control at that point.
I you know, I don't condone violence, but let me tell you something. He was asking for no. Let me correct myself. He was begging, pleading, longing for that. He wanted that. He just didn't know that's what he wanted. His intention probably was to get a different reaction. He probably was going to try to show you up in front of the women. But what he didn't know was that he was now he thought that alcohol made him a fool. But what he didn't know, he was talking to a Marine who Marines don't have to act like fools. You know, y'all are on some different kind of stuff when y'all in the Marines, you know. Marines have y'all special people. Y'all special, you know. And so I'm sure he had no idea who he was talking to. He probably saw a black guy there, eating some wings. He saw the women there. He said, "Oh, that's a black guy. I'm gonna go over here and say whatever I want to say to these women." And then when you try to get involved, he was like, and you shut up too, basically,
Right.
No idea who he was talking to.
Right.
No.
And unfortunately,
And
that's that's the mentality of some of them. The blatant racists, they really don't care, and some of them don't care about taking a beating either. But like I said, that those were not my intentions. And I hate it had the result to that, but at the same instance, sometimes is what's needed. And
but
like
Eric,
I said, it could have been.
You kept trying to walk away, and he just would not stop.
He still would not stop. So an individual like that, he's gonna do it again.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna do it again. Unfortunately,
Now, were there any charges brought against you for this incident?
Well, not that day.
Okay.
The police did come. They came in and they spoke with management. They asked me, did I want to press charges? And I said, no, I'm good at this point. I don't know what was discussed with him at that point, because he was outside at that point. Applebee's did not want to press charges against me. They actually paid for my meal, paid for my drinks. Asked me, did I want some more? So I pretty much just sit down and finished what I'd started, what I came there to do in the first place. And then I left at that point, but, and then I got a phone call the next day, of course, from a detective, a black female, detective, and she asked me to come down, and I was like, well, am I under arrest? And she said, no, we just want to talk to you. But, I know what that means.
Yeah.
So, of course, I contacted a friend of mine, an attorney at that point, and he kind of took the conversation over from that point and made arrangements for us to come down to have this conversation that they wanted to have, down at the city police. And eventually they wanted to charge me with some assault charges.
But I thought
they ended up ultimately charging me with public disorderly conduct.
But I thought you said, I thought on the phone, the detective told you they were not looking to charge you.
They did. But when I got down there to the police station, then it was a different tune.
Oh, they can switch on you.
Right. So, they will often tell you you're not under arrest.
Okay.
And then when you get down there and a conversation is had, then you're placed under arrest and then charges are brought.
Oh, okay.
So that was probably just a ploy to get me down there.
Get you down there. Okay.
Correct.
Now, did they call the other guy in?
Say again?
Did they call the other guy in too, that you know of?
Apparently they called him down there as well. And they did charge him with public disorderly conduct. Same thing they ultimately charged me with. My attorney said, no, you're not pleading guilty to anything, Right. And, the police chief, I guess he made the comment, we can't have him around here assaulting people in that manner.
Right.
And I think my attorney's response, well, we can't have him around here calling us niggas like that either.
Right.
So, but, and the point was made that if you arrest him today, he said, I'm going to have the news media and all of something down here within the hour. So, it didn't happen. And they ultimately dismissed the charges. They ultimately, Doug pled guilty. His name is Doug Merrill. He pled guilty to his charges, and mine were ultimately thrown out.
Okay.
So that was the resolve.
What about the two women, were they able to press harassment charges or anything against them?
I think they could have. I think they were just glad the situation was over.
Yeah.
And it ended. Had it been my wife and my daughter, I would have probably encouraged them to not only press charges, but to sue him, you know. And I don't know if there was any liability there as far as Applebee's is concerned, but
I think so.
But to allow them to for them to allow that to go on as long as it did,
right?
There should have been some measure of accountability there as well.
Yep.
You know, because that could have been avoided. You know, no one wants to go out in public to be harassed in that manner and furtherly to be called racial slurs. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And Applebee's, they did have the duty of care to provide a safe environment for their patrons, you know?
Correct.
And they failed to do so. So I do think they had some liability in this whole issue.
Right. You know, and I kind of mentioned that to those young ladies, but I guess they just didn't want to pursue it, you know? And that's the only thing that I can think of. They just didn't want to pursue it any further, you know?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I could understand them just kind of wanted the whole thing to be over and go away, because I would imagine that it was very traumatic for them. They probably had never had anything like that to happen to them. And then to witness the physical part of it all and witness the guy Doug he wouldn't stop.
Right.
He just like.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen that kind of dedication in a while from a race. To stick with it. I mean, he didn't want to let it go. He didn't want to let that word go, you know.
Even when he was
determined to keep using it, you know.
Look, Eric, the man stood up off the ground and still kept going. Like,
he did.
Are you kidding?
He did. He came back. He came back again and tried to come back a third time.
Yep. So let me ask you this. In your mind, while this is happening, I know probably by now you probably done flipped the script, but what was going through your mind during the time of the altercation?
The main thing that was going to my mind is I kept telling myself, do not clench your fist.
Okay.
Do not, because I was so angry. I was like, do not clench your fist. Don't clench your fist. Correct. Because he could have seriously gotten hurt.
Okay.
And I thought about the kind of the age group that was in there at the time. Had it been a younger generation of Black men in there, I don't think he would have made it out of there.
Right.
You know, because my young brothers, sometimes they'll take it to the door. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Yeah.
And I think the amount of restraint that I had to exercise to keep from actually hurting him, you know, I mean, it was hard for me. So I can imagine a younger generation would have probably just, he would have gotten hurt, you know, he would have gotten hurt.
So tell me the difference between clenching your fist and open hand. What was that significant for?
Well, if you clench your fist, of course, you can do a lot more damage. And then secondly, the charges probably would have gotten upgraded to probably a felonious assault.
Okay.
Rather than a simple assault.
Okay.
You know, which a felonious would carry, you know, a lot of more jail time or whatever, wherein a simple assault sometimes is just a fine and, you know, some chastisement or whatever. But
so even in the heat of the moment, right then,
right,
you was able to tell yourself, you know, Eric, don't clench your fist.
Right. And that was like I said, it was a hard thing to do, you know, and which is why I had I wanted to stop slapping him, but you know,
he wouldn't stop talking.
Right. He would not stop. And
yeah.
And like I said, the emotional impact of the language that was being used, the hateful, the malice intent in which he used it. And then the reaction, you know, it was just, it was hard to stop, you know. It was just like, you know, I felt that for my people. And I didn't want them to, you know, that wasn't for me. That was for us.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question.
I might have felt like it was for me while it was happening, but, you know, that was for us. You know, at the end of the day, that was for us.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like emotionally, what was going on with you emotionally when this was happening? Were you afraid that you would go too far? Were you concerned that you would go too far? Do you feel like you had complete control of your being? What emotionally what were you feeling?
Definitely didn't feel like I had complete control, but I didn't feel like I had lost control either.
Okay.
I did exercise some restraint
in the middle.
In the middle of it, and I think maybe that's why the slaps might have continued. It was just like almost like a teaching moment. Like, look, you don't do this. You know, I was not trying to harm him or put him in a bad way. You know, but I'm not a little guy, but I'm not a big guy either. You know, but at the same time, he was. Like I said, I'm in my 50s. He was in his 50s. Some people age harder than others, you know? And I think a lot of times maybe what we intake into our bodies too often sometimes reflect that, you know? And I honestly believe he was just inebriated. You know, and he should have been cut off at the bar a long time ago and maybe escorted out. His comments should have been cut off by management and he should have been asked to leave. And it should have never gotten to that point, you know?
Yeah, because it seemed like Applebee's, I still say that they had some responsibility and some accountability in the whole thing because I don't know what the law is in South Carolina, but normally when a patron is noticeably intoxicated, you're as the bartender, you're supposed to cut them off.
Absolutely.
You know, so I would question why didn't the bartender cut him off? And then when they heard and saw him harassing the two Black women, how come no one said anything to him then? How come management didn't step in and say, sir, you're bothering with other patrons, you know, you're going to have to leave or we're going to have to call the police on you. How come they waited until things got to where they were before they intervened? Was it because, they didn't intervene when he misbehaved according to what misbehaving looks like. They didn't seem to intervene until you had to take matters into your own hands.
Correct. You know, and that's kind of where I was kind of disappointed in their reaction time, you know, because like I said previously, the entire incident could have been avoided had they stepped in and just,
I agree.
You know, checked him, some talk. And I understand people go to bars and they have open conversation, but Applebee's is not just a bar, it's a family setting, it's a restaurant. You know, and certain conversations are just inappropriate to be had even across the bar, you know, in that type of setting. And then that girl was a baby. She was 21 years old. She just turned 21.
Right.
And to be, you know, you're in your 50s, you old enough to be her father, a grandfather, let alone to be talking to a young lady in that manner, you know. But I think he saw a black woman and thought maybe it was okay because she was a black woman, but would he do his own kind that way?
Probably.
You know, I question that. Was he just an asshole and would do it to anyone, or did he just see a black woman and say, okay, well, the repercussions behind me saying what I want to say to her might not be as bad as me saying this to a Caucasian woman, you know?
Right.
But to me, it was just completely inappropriate for him to talk to any woman in that manner.
It was, especially
let
if
alone a black woman.
He's the white mandingo. So basically, you're sitting there, you're in your 50s, you're propositioning a 21-year-old, telling her you have a big penis, basically.
Right.
And that was highly inappropriate.
It was very inappropriate.
You know, and I don't think. Now, let me ask you this. I heard that he was either engaged or dating a black woman. That was surprising to me.
And the detective actually told me that down at the precinct. And when she said that, I said, I guarantee you she's not from this country. I said, I guarantee you she's not from this country. And come to find out, she wasn't from this country. You know, but I'm almost 99.9% certain the last time I seen Dave's page, he was no longer engaged to her. So thank God that she had an awakening.
Yep.
And maybe she caught wind of that video, or someone said something to her. But whatever enlightened her, I'm glad she's no longer engaged to Doug.
Yep.
Because I can imagine what are you thinking about that young lady if you feel the way you feel towards black people, you know, with the things that came out of your mouth, you know?
Yep. And can you imagine him getting drunk at home and
right. You know,
or how he would treat her? That wouldn't be good for her.
Right.
So then,
I think that whole scenario of him dating a black woman was just a cover up. You know, I've heard. I've heard people say before, "Oh, I'm not racist. I got 2 or 3 black friends," you know. But in the words of my man D.L. Hughley, if you know how many black friends you got, you racist as I don't know what. Let's all get up, you know. What are you doing? Standing outside counting them? 1, 2, 3. That's enough. You know. No, it's just
right. I was looking at a story one time. Young girl, pretty black girl. She had been dating this white guy. A bunch of his friends came over to play the video game, and she had went in the room to get something, and his phone was in the room. Well, she looked at his phone, and there was a whole thread of conversation that her boyfriend had been having with the guys that were out there playing a game with him. And in the thread, the boyfriend talked about how it was to be sexually involved with a black girl. And then he started to say, you know, one of the friends said, what if you could kill a black person and get away with it? Just all kind of crazy stuff. So what she did, she acted like she had to go to the store. And she got her little things that she had over there, and she left. She never said anything else to him. And for 2 weeks, he tried to contact her. And she finally told him that she saw his phone.
Right.
But she had been dating the boy for 2 years and never knew he was actually a racist.
Right. Wow. Wow.
That's scary.
Yeah, we gotta be careful when it comes to that. You know, and I don't have issues with interracial dating, but you definitely need to do your homework.
Yeah.
If that's what you're gonna do, if that's your thing, you definitely need to do your homework. You need to get to know the person with whom you're dating.
Yeah.
Period.
Now let me ask you, Eric. So how did your family find out what happened? Did
social
you
media.
Them or?
Social media. By the time I got to my daughter's track practice, she knew about it. She knew about it. And it was probably about a 15-minute drive from where I was to her school. By the time I got to her school, she knew about it. It hit the internet that quick.
It did. It really did.
So yeah, it did. And so whoever posted it, and he posted that video, and it just took off, and it got out that quick.
That was in the restaurant.
Right.
It had to be, and from the angle of it, it had to be someone that was kind of sitting to your right.
Yeah, it was. I eventually found out that it was a young man who was in the restaurant who actually filmed that video. And we are now Facebook friends. And
wow.
Yeah, that young man's name, I think his name was Tay Solo on Facebook. And he was the gentleman that actually filmed that video. And I don't know what kind of following he has, but when he put it out, it took off.
Oh yeah. So how did your wife find out? If your daughter found out on social media?
She was actually on the phone with me. While this incident was taking place.
Really?
I was actually talking to her in my earpiece, and she actually heard the incident going down.
Okay.
And at some point my phone ended up on the bar, but she could still hear what was going on. But she didn't actually see it till later,
Right. Wow. And so at the point where they saw the video, were they afraid for you? Did they think you were going to go to jail?
We thought about it, we thought about it, but I kind of made the assumption in the back of my mind, because I know the town that I live in. I kind of made the assumption. I said, oh, well, I'm going to go to jail today, but I was thinking, some things are worth going to jail for.
Right.
And it was just one of those things where jail was the last thing on your mind. Correcting the incident was priority.
Now, how did your community receive you after the video went viral?
Well, for the most part, it was positive. For the most part, it was positive. Of course, you got the few. I got a few threats from some cowards on social media. From the fake pages and the but it happens, and I expected it to happen. After I seen the video, I said, well, you'll have all kind of people coming out of the woodworks at that point.
Right.
So I was careful. I put extra security around my house.
Okay.
And then I was careful in how I carried myself. I grew eyes in the back of my head, because you never know who's who and what's what. Some people could say, okay, oh, we're proud of you, so on and so forth. We're glad this happened. But at the same time, they're plotting to get at you,
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was positive.
And then how long did you have to have this heightened sense of security around you?
Well, my security is still heightened. When I say it's still heightened, I just don't believe in letting your guard down after an incident like that. So I'm just kind of particular about how I go out and how I come in.
Right,
you know?
right.
So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play the clip. And it starts when he says there's a difference between, sound like he said black people
and black folks and niggas. Black people and niggas.
Okay. Yeah,
I know I heard a nigga.
Now that's the part I missed.
Yeah.
But I heard
listen to it carefully. You'll hear him.
Okay. All right, let's play the video. Let's see, which one is it? I think it's this one.
Let's block that. There's black. There's a difference between black and niggers.
Oh shit.
Shut your goddamn mouth. Let's block that. Let's block that. There's black. Let's block that. There's black. There's a difference between black and niggers. Let's block that. There's black. There's a difference between black and niggers.
I'm on the phone still, baby.
Let's block that. There's black. There's a difference between black and niggers. Let's block that. There's black. There's a difference between black and niggers.
Oh shit.
Shut your goddamn mouth.
Let me ask you a question. When you watch that clip now, when you look back over everything, what goes through your mind?
Could have been a bad day, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it could have been a lot worse, you know. But I was kind of when I see it now, it's just all I can think about is you know, the amount of progress that we've made over the years, and it just don't seem like much sometimes. It don't seem like we've made as much progress as we needed to make. I'm like, it's hard to believe that you're kind of still in this place where all of this racial hatred exists in this country, but it was built on just that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And they, you know, you have people say all the time, well, slavery's over, get over it, this and that, and so on and so forth. How can you get over it?
Right.
When you still use the same tactics that you've used for centuries.
Yeah.
In this country, and then you still use the terminology that's degraded an entire race of people, and then expect us to take this language and this hatred lightly. And we do have to stop the bleeding. We do, as Black folks. We got to step up and say, you know, enough is enough, and just we can't tolerate it. You know, we got to do something different.
What is it? What is it?
Apparently,
what can we do?
Well, we can just not accept the behavior. Period. We can choose to expose the racists. You know, expose their businesses, expose their lifestyles when they show you that they're blatant racists. Because I guarantee you, when you start hurting them in their pocket, they'll get some act right. You know. Stop supporting them. Stop enabling them. You know, stop giving them your money. You know, when they show you who they are, believe them. And
absolutely. I
mean,
just got off the phone with my guy, and he was just saying the same thing. When people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah,
you gotta believe what you see, and it's it makes no sense to see. I see that my nails are green. Why would I tell somebody they're blue? I see what I see. You know, and for me to ignore the fact that they are actually green when I call them blue, that's me being in a state of denial.
Correct.
You know? So I don't know how we're supposed to get over it when it's not over.
Right. You know. Yeah, the behavior. There's two sets of rules in this country. You know, their rules and then the rules that they have for us.
I've always said that. I've always said that. I also say, from a legal perspective, there are two laws. Also, it's laws for them, and then there are laws for us.
Correct.
You know, I've been following what's going on in Mississippi. With them bringing back, you know, Jim Crow 2.0, all this stuff. And then the guy there saying he wants to bring back lynching as a form of punishment for those that are on death row. I don't know if you've been following that or not. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've actually caught little snippets here and there of what was going on with that, but I mean, some people are just evil. It's in their nature, and you can't get the hatred out of them, regardless of how hard you try, and you just. The best thing to do is just what the scripture says. You have to separate yourself from people like that and just not deal with them. You got to separate yourself from them, not deal with them. You know, the Bible says, separate yourself from evildoers, lest they turn and rend you. And rend means tear you into pieces, tear you apart. You know, and that's their goal. That's their objective. Where it stems from, I don't know. But we got to love each other and love ourselves enough not to tolerate it, not to put up with it, and stand our ground. We have to stand our ground at this point. You have to, and we have to do something different. And when I say do something different, we have to not tolerate it at all, period. You know, there's no excuse for it at this point.
Right.
And we're just not going to accept that laying down, you know.
So if someone was in your position, let's say this same incident happens to someone else, how would you advise them to handle it?
Well, people always say you don't advocate violence. If you can walk away from a situation, by all means, walk away from it. But does it mean you have to take the disrespect? I mean, I just don't think you would have to take the disrespect in that manner. You know, you know, it's time for us to start standing up for ourselves. It's time for us to take the driver's seat and not sit on the back of the bus. You know, I mean, those days have been over, you know, but their mentality and their thought process has not changed. In their minds, we still belong on the back of the bus. In their minds, we still don't have the right to speak up for ourselves. We don't have the right to defend our women. You know?
And that's probably why
how dare you speak up for that Black woman? You know?
Yeah. And that's probably
we
why
gotta let them know that, you know, this is not what that is.
Right. So you're saying if you can, walk away from it. If you can.
If you can.
But
if you can.
If you feel that this could be a teachable moment, then go ahead and teach the lesson.
Oh, the lessons need to be taught.
Yeah.
The lessons need to be taught.
I like what your attorney said. I like the way your attorney put it, you know, when they said, oh, we just can't have him running around beating on people or whatever they said, you know. I like the response your attorney gave them. You know, well, we can't have white people just running around calling people niggers either.
That's right.
You know,
absolutely.
Why did we address the cause of the whole matter? They want to address the effect, but not the cause.
Correct. Exactly.
And
so there's got to be some accountability for your actions.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And if the accountability sometimes is a confrontation, then so be it. You know. So be it. You know, it's long overdue. I mean, when you stop shooting us in the streets and you stop beating on us, and then we'll know some things are changing. But it seems like it's getting worse.
It does.
You know, and where does it stop? You know, where does it end? You know, but we have to step up and do things different. We got to start, you know, protecting our own. We got to start not taking the abuse.
Right.
You know, we got to start going to the source of the problem, going directly to the source and addressing it and facing it head on, period.
Right. Eric, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us. What's happening now with you now after all of this? Has any of the tension around this particular incident died down?
I think the tension has died down, but you know, people have not forgotten. You know, we had a 1-year reunion at Applebee's this past February.
Really? How did that go?
We went back to the crime scene. If you want to call it that. But we went back to Applebee's and we just kind of, you know, shared that moment. And you know, we this time without incident, we were able to enjoy our wings and our drinks. You know, now, we're going to continue to do that once a year, every February 17th.
Okay.
Same time, same station. We're at Applebee's, you know, at 4 o'clock. February 17th next year, we'll be there again. So I did order your T-shirt. It just didn't get here in time. So I just want you to know it's on the way.
I'll say something before we went off. Like, where's my T-shirt, Eric?
Right. So did get those ordered, you know.
Okay, good.
Had to do some research, but I finally found them. And
okay, good. Thank you.
Definitely going to get it
so
to you.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So listen, if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they reach you?
Well, I'm on IG, Canty Eric 515 on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Eric Bernard Canty, or my other page on Facebook is Bernard Canty. I can't accept any more friends on my Eric Bernard Canty page, but my Bernard Canty page, I got some room on that one. So I'm still there too. And you can reach out to me in that way and inbox me or whatever, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, how has it been for your family? Do you allow them to go off by themselves, or?
It's been business as usual for my family.
Okay.
They're kind of still moving the way they move. I'm always telling them to pay attention to their surroundings.
Right.
I pick my girls up. I take them to and from school. So, you know,
okay.
I kind of keep a close eye on them, you know. And, you know, we as Black folks, we just got to pay attention to our surroundings and protect yourselves. Yeah. The first rule of thumb is self-preservation.
Okay.
You know, don't let nobody harm you, or don't let nobody just take your life. You know, don't lay it down. Don't make it easy for them. You know, we have to protect ourselves. I mean, they do it, so we're definitely entitled to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you speak to legislation, what would you say to them in regards to this racism and where we are as a country? Although we thought we were here, but in reality, we're still over here. And if you had a chance to speak directly to legislation, what would you say to them as it pertains to racism and what they expect for us to take versus what they would take?
Right. Well, bottom line, they just need to stop the enabling. I don't know why they're so afraid to have the playing field leveled for all races and all people. You know, if you want everything to be equal, and you want to do away with what do we call it? If you want to do away with having a certain amount or the best man getting the job or the best qualified person getting the job, you want to do away with all of this stuff, make the playing field level.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Stop throwing obstacles in our way from us achieving. Give us the same opportunities that you give the next person. You got all kind of people that come into this country and they can get loans and grants and start businesses and buy homes and so on and so forth or whatever. You and real quick and real brief, the Kyrie Irving incident, the you know, the Kanye West incident, you know, when they're quick to say you're anti-Semitic when this group of people is attacked, the Jews, but what about Black people in America?
Yep.
When are you going to stand up and defend Black people in America? You know what I'm saying? You say, oh, they suffered. You know, 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust and so on and so forth. And yeah, but can you think of the millions that were killed in the transatlantic slave trade? You know what I'm saying? The thousands of tens of thousands and the millions of people that didn't even make it, that were on the journey over when they were kidnapped from their own land to come here and build this country. You built this country on the backs of slaves.
Right.
And then now you still don't want to present an equal, a level playing field for us to succeed as people.
Right.
You know?
Right. Look how
enough
fast
is enough.
look how fast they passed that the anti Asian hate law, you know.
Right.
And I'm
So
like, so we're not gonna get an anti-hate law, you know.
exactly. At what point are you gonna put these things into place? But see, we've just been thrown out to fend for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, they built that generational wealth on the backs of slaves, but they want you to start from the beginning.
Right.
And you should be okay because you're free now. You understand what I'm saying? No, we shouldn't be okay yet, because you still got all this emotional damage and traumatization from years of slavery that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. When are you going to make that right?
Right.
You know, and no, we're not asking for handouts, but we're definitely demanding a level playing field.
Right.
You afford us the same opportunities that you afford yourself.
Right.
You know, think of us like you think of yourself, and not foreigners or immigrants to this country. No, we're a part of this country, and we're Americans just like you're Americans.
Right.
So you start there, you know.
Right. So
and
when I hear
I
them
think that's
say,
where it needs to start.
Yeah. So like when I hear them say, "Oh, we got to take our country back," I'm like, "Who y'all gonna take it back from?"
Right.
We're American. You know, how is this y'all country? And so we still have a lot of work to do as a country.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of work to do as a country, as a people, as a nation that's supposed to be under God, you know. But you can't tell it by me. We got a lot of work to do.
Right. A lot of work. We do.
A lot of work. A lot of work to do. Eric, I appreciate you taking your time to come by and visit our show. I'm sure it won't be the last time. Hope maybe next February, maybe I get to be live from Applebee's in Sumter. Who knows? So
that sounds like a plan.
Yep.
So
I gotta see
again, thank you for having me. I enjoyed being on your show.
Oh, my pleasure. Don't forget my shirt now.
I won't. I will not. I will reach out.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. It's been a pleasure. And again, if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can reach out to you by Eric Canty. And then you said, what's the IG name?
Canty Eric 515. Or my email is cantyeric515@gmail.com.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have it. Thank you for tuning in. Eric, we'll talk to you soon.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. My pleasure.
Enjoy your evening.
Bye-bye. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.